Hi, everyone. We're back. I hope you're back with us. This time, we will be talking about the history of industry interference and marketing to children, but within the context of the alcohol industry. And to set the scene for us and to lead the discussion really is Maik Dünnbier, Director of Strategy and Advocacy with Movendi. Over to you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed the previous session, learning from these different experts. And I'm really excited to discuss alcohol industry interference in our lives here. I have 10 minutes, so I want to take you through a journey of discussing how big alcohol is trying to influence children and young people and why they are doing this. So here we go. This is what we have prepared. We want to expose big alcohol's marketing practices, and I want to give you a little bit of food for thought and then discuss what is alcohol marketing actually, how can we understand how big alcohol is exploiting pop culture, how are they affecting our behavior, and what does it actually mean that the products and practices of the alcohol industry are causing harm to us and our communities. So that is what I have prepared for you today. This is just a snapshot of everything that we are doing in terms of counteracting the alcohol industry. So we are also happy to provide a more in-depth online course that we have about this. But I wanted to give you an overview of the comprehensive picture here. So let's begin with food for thought, as I said, the orange juice experiment. And the orange juice experiment is that a number of test groups were given orange juice, and they were given 3 types of orange juice: pure one, tainted one with a little bit of salt and vinegar in it, and then one version of orange juice with lots of salt and vinegar in it. And these groups were made to drink it. And then after they drank these different types of orange juice, some groups were shown a really nice advertising about all the great things about orange juice, and some, of course, didn't see it. And then these groups were asked to report their experience of actually drinking the orange juice. And you can guess what happened. Even the group that drank the vinegar and salt orange juice, after watching the advertisement of how great orange juice is, they reported that it was sweet, that it was great, and that they will actually go and buy it. So that is the orange juice experiment. And what it shows is that with continuous exposure to marketing and advertising, our memories are constantly being rewritten and constantly affecting our decisions in everyday life. That is what all these harmful product industries want to do. They want to affect our memories, how we think about their products, and they actually want us to ignore our real experiences. For example, alcohol is actually a dull product that people in the beginning, when they consume it, actually don't like. But marketing has this orange juice experiment effect, if I can call it like that. So let's move on by taking a step back and looking at what alcohol marketing actually is. Here is a great definition from the Pan American Health Organization. Alcohol marketing is any form of commercial communication or message that is designed to increase or has the effect of increasing the recognition, appeal, or the consumption of alcohol products and services through advertising, sponsorship, or any other form of promotion. So you can see that alcohol marketing is a broad concept that is about advertising that I just mentioned about orange juice, but also sponsorship, other forms of promotion. And it's about affecting behavior. People are supposed to consume more alcohol, like alcohol, and promote alcohol themselves. So really, there are multiple forms of alcohol marketing, such as brand stretching, corporate social responsibility. I believe you all know sports sponsorship, music sponsorship, but also co-branding and product placement. And some of those I'll mention a little bit later. I have written a blog post about this also that I'm happy to share. And there I'm saying that alcohol marketing is the commercial promotion of alcohol use as much and as often as possible by every means possible. So the alcohol industry wants us to think that alcohol belongs everywhere, that we need to consume alcohol all the time, and that actually everybody around us likes alcohol and wants to consume alcohol all the time. What it does is that it changes our perception and our expectation. So marketing, for example, participants who taste perceptions of beer and wine are influenced by factors such as price and brand images. We know that an experimental study on children in the age of 9 to 10 years old showed that exposure to alcohol commercials managed to activate positive emotional expectancies towards alcohol. So these are children that have not even consumed it themselves, but when they're exposed to marketing about alcohol, they start feeling positively about it. And so the alcohol industry is training us from very early on how we are supposed to feel about their products. We also know that a report on alcohol marketing exposure in children aged 11 to 13 made by the private company RAND Corporation found that children in the United States are exposed to 3 alcohol ads per day. African American and Hispanics are exposed to twice as much alcohol marketing compared to white adolescents. So there is a social justice dimension here where the alcohol industry is exploiting minority communities much more. Girls were exposed to alcohol ads 30% more than boys. So you can see how the alcohol industry is trying to train specific groups how to think about alcohol and what to expect from these products. Here, I just want to remind you one more time of the orange juice experiment, that alcohol marketing is really challenging our cognitive processes, rewriting our memories about our actual experiences when we are using the products of the alcohol industry. And then we can, of course, also identify common themes of alcohol marketing across the history. That's what Kimberly said, that I would show you. And you can look a little bit into this. You can see here humor, relaxation, friendship, partying, humor. These are all the reasons why people use alcohol. And so you can see how the alcohol industry is really deploying marketing with these themes to train people about the reasons why they are supposed to buy these products. Alcohol marketing is, of course, very sophisticated. So you can see the themes that are then also attached to specific types and specific brands. So alcohol pops and humor are more connected, friendship and flavored beers, or sex and liqueur. So the alcohol industry tries also to associate certain benefits that we are supposed to get with specific products and specific brands. We also have to say that not just the alcohol industry, tobacco and sugar sweetened beverage industries, but really the consumer industry is deploying their products to help us form identity. So they load their products with all kinds of values that are not really in the product itself. So in beer, wine, and liquor, the active ingredient is ethanol. It's ethanol that causes cancer, for example, when we consume it. But still, the alcohol industry wants to teach us that if we use this brand, then we are happy. If we use this product, then we can deal with stress. So they help us to create identity here. And research shows this, for example, analyzing YouTube videos when it comes to brand identity and humor. So content analysis of YouTube videos showed that they were related to alcohol use and alcohol intoxication with humor in 79% of the cases. So when the alcohol industry uses YouTube targeting younger populations, then they do this through humor. And humor, as I said, is cognitively a very difficult tactic the alcohol industry is using, because it bypasses our own protective measures. We are skeptical usually. We don't like to be manipulated. We don't like indoctrination, but the alcohol industry knows how to bypass these cognitive protective measures. So this is important to understand how they use marketing to, I think, manipulate us very strongly. And so alcohol marketing is a powerful tool the alcohol industry uses to condition psychological associations, perceptions, expectations, and behaviors with their products. Alcohol marketing teaches people how to use alcohol for identity creation, how to feel when people actually use alcohol. And moving on to an exploration of popular culture. On the left-hand side, you can see Don Draper from Mad Men. And what happened is when Mad Men aired, Don Draper was really using alcohol heavily. So you can see him here in an office space with lots of alcohol around him. But he was using also a specific kind of cocktail. And as Mad Men aired, bars across the United States could see that this cocktail in Mad Men used by Don Draper actually became the most popular cocktail that people would order. Similar process was then later also visible with Sex and the City, where we now have middle-aged women that grew up with Sex and the City actually with alcohol addiction and alcohol use disorder. So popular culture has a real impact on alcohol harm in our society. And here we have another overview for you. You can see how across different countries and across different media, alcohol is occurring in movies, in popular songs, in Netflix and Amazon later on, and what kind of associations the alcohol industry is making here. So I will share it with you afterwards so that you have more time to look at it. But the important point is here that the alcohol industry is using popular culture to target and reach children and young people. 50% of animated movies promote alcohol in one way or another. And animated movies, you can imagine, are made to reach children and young people. So popular culture is really a tool for big alcohol to reach children and young people. And what that leads to is that the positive, expectations around alcohol, the benefits that we are trained to anticipate to get from alcohol consumption, they outweigh all the negatives. So all the harm that we know alcohol causes in our community. So we are ignoring all the harm and we are going for these constructed effects of alcohol that marketing is conditioning us to believe in. So popular culture promotes alcohol industry messages, framings, and the interests of the alcohol industry, which is training young people to associate alcohol with all kinds of positive things. Popular culture is a vehicle that pushes alcohol and is part of conditioning expectancies and behaviors around the products of the alcohol industry. And so what the industry is doing, of course, is hooking young people very early on, so changing our behavior. Nobody is born liking alcohol, for example. But I think I want to turn your attention really to the figure on the right-hand side. Total alcohol sales revenue from underage alcohol use in 2016 in the United States were more than $17 billion. So the alcohol industry makes lots and lots of money from underage alcohol use. And we know that exposure to alcohol ads is directly linked to subsequent alcohol use by children. We also know the earlier people begin alcohol consumption, the more they use later on. So with alcohol marketing, the industry is training lifetime loyalists, so to say, lifetime users of their products. And again, there are many more facts. They are hyperlinked for you as well so that you can read more. I'll give you the chance then when we share the slides with you. We also have to talk about the harm that these practices of the alcohol industries are causing. So it's important to say that they make lots of money, but they also cause massive, massive harms in our communities. And the harm is really about what the practices do, the practice of marketing. It leads to early onset of alcohol use. It leads to higher amounts being consumed. It leads to more risky ways of consuming alcohol. It shapes positive attitudes, expectancies, and judgments towards alcohol. As I said, that we ignore all the harms that we actually can see in our communities and families. And it determines brand allegiance and loyalty. And then also the products. So when we consume ethanol in beer, wine, and liquor, that has real consequences for anybody, like alcohol causes cancer and cardiovascular disease. But if you just look at the last bullet point, compared to those who take up alcohol use after the age of 21, young people who begin consuming alcohol before the age of 15, they are 12 times more likely to suffer unintentional injuries, 7 times more likely to be in a motor vehicle crash, and 10 times more likely to have been in a physical fight due to alcohol. Their risk to develop diseases like cancer, heart disease, and addiction is also much, much elevated the earlier they consume. So you really see the conflict here. The alcohol industry wants everybody to start consuming early. And when people start consuming early, that really puts them on a trajectory of being exposed to large risks of alcohol consumption. So it's important. By concluding, I want to tell you that there is a reality that the alcohol industry wants us to believe in, but then there's also a reality that we have to really make sure we don't lose sight of. And that is, contrary to popular belief, the majority of young people in the United States and in many other Western countries for sure do not use nicotine, alcohol, or other drugs. And the number of those who use has declined in recent years, especially for alcohol. Young people want to stay alcohol-free much longer. And when they use alcohol, they use much less than previous generations. And that also means young people are becoming more aware, more critical about the unethical practices of the alcohol industry, like some of the other industries that we are discussing here. And with this, thank you very much for your attention. I'm very happy to join you today. And I'm also happy to continue the conversation later on. Back to you, Kimberly.